own show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special 6 Rings Kane show. DJ Blue, how's it going?
Good. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and pre-Thanksgiving, and doing good.
Yeah. Well, if we make the show long enough, we can hit Thanksgiving. No, I'm just kidding.
Please.
But yeah, we got a lot to get to. As Blue said, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Tomorrow is hopefully a stress-free day, and your NFL team doesn't ruin every Thanksgiving like mine does. So hopefully you can enjoy some turkey. But anyway, we're here to talk college football. Before we do that, let's hit our sponsor, which is still 305-800-PAIN. If you're after an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305-800-PAIN, you get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they are a brand you can trust. Much like 5 Reasons Canes, 305-800-PAIN is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle all your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305-800-PAIN. The number is the brand, 305-800-PAIN. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada 305-800-PAIN, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación de A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305-800-PAIN tiene mucho en común con los 5 razones que están enfocados en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y el Florida del Sur. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidente de carros, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305-800-PAIN. El número es el nombre de la marca. 305-800-PAIN. All right, guys, like I said, jam-packed show. We'll start by just doing a little bit of a recap, getting these thoughts on Virginia Tech. Obviously, DJ, you and I kind of did that. Had actually a very long show on Sunday morning where we kind of ran that to ground.
Way too long.
And then we'll talk playoff and kind of some of the scenarios for the Canes to get into potentially the ACC championship. Then we'll talk about the Pitt game. The Canes do have a tough road game this weekend with all the stuff swirling around where they're ranked. They got to take care of business there. And then Blue, I know it's a big weekend in high school and a lot to go through. It's that time of year, so we'll do that as well. But let's start with Virginia Tech, Blue. Get your thoughts there. Overall, what did you think of the performance, how the Canes played, in particular Carson Beck's performance in that game?
Yeah, he's here's the thing, too. I think that a lot of people underestimate a lot of these teams, and especially Virginia Tech. They're home. They have nothing to play for. They just got a brand new head coach. And the thing about it is Miami brings out the best in everybody. They always have. and they always will. No matter what their record is, they are that U from the 80s. They are that U from the 90s. And it just seems like when anybody gets an opportunity to play them, they turn it up a little bit. And, and here's Virginia Tech, knowing that if they can knock Miami off, then they'll not only ruin Miami's season, but at least make a lot of the fans. And Vish, you go there, you've been there. It's a college area, and that's what they live and die for: win, lose, or draw. And I think Carson Beck went in there and showed why he's Miami's leader on offense. I think the very fact that his communication and relationship with Shannon Dawson has just grown leaps and bounds every week. There's more trust. There's more innovation. There are more things that they're doing. And I think that it's not just the same old handoff right, handoff left, but they're doing a lot of things that really kind of keep him involved in the game a lot more and gets him excited. He's 23 years old. He's not that 17-year-old freshman anymore. So to answer your question, I think he's doing real well. I think he did real well. He's doing, at times he's looked to just manage the offense, and other times he's asked to do some things that a, 5th year or 6th year senior quarterback should do. So to answer your question, I think he's doing really well. And he's having fun. There was a stretch there that it didn't look like he was having fun. He throw for 275 or 300. I did just think that, there's a lot of times where even though Dawson's the offensive coordinator, it's sort of like I always, it's kind of a crazy, equation. But I always say, because I had a kidney transplant, and I always wondered, does the nephrologist really know how I feel? He's a nephrologist and he knows everything. But sometimes you look at somebody like a Beck, and yeah, Dawson's a great offensive coordinator, but has Dawson ever really played at that level where he's feeling a lot of the things that Carson Beck feels? And I think that it's taken some time for him to get on that same page. And Carson's a really good football player. Let's not mince words. He's been in every single game, even as poorly as they played, against SMU at times, and especially with 4 picks against Louisville. Miami's been in every game. People could say, oh, Miami lost to Louisville. Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. Just like all those Notre Dame fans keep saying, if we played Miami today. Yeah, well, if Miami played Louisville and SMU today, it'd be okay. So I can go there too. So I just think I think he's doing real well, and everybody trusts him. And he has a great rapport with Malachi Tony, who's 7 years younger than him, or 6 years younger than him. So they have a lot of fun. He's getting an opportunity to use everybody now. And I thought, to me, being an Elijah Lofton fan and knowing what he's capable of, following him since he was 13 and 14, to see him, A, have the first carry of the game, and B, score a touchdown, and then C, the distribution of the ball going everywhere. And then having a Gerard Pringle who, I was talking to Alex Dono. I said, remember, Alex, when I told you about when they were recruiting him and you told me, asked me what I thought about him. And I said, this kid I watched him since he was a freshman when he played receiver. And then he, because they had so many backs back then, Armwood, where he was from. And then he morphed into a pretty good running back. So, when you get a chance, guys like me, to see a lot of these kids before they're here and know what they're capable of, it's hard for me to sit there and listen to these experts tell me or tell anybody, oh, this guy sucks or this guy's this. And it's tough to hear that, because I know what a lot of these kids can do. They're just in a situation where they're learning a little bit more. But roundabout way, to answer your question, I think that Beck's doing really well.
Yeah, and I think, it's a shame that in particular receiver unit took a lot of injuries in the middle of the season. And you can see the chemistry it has with Malachi Tony, who's pretty much the one that's been healthy the whole year.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder if CJ Daniels doesn't get hurt, if some of these rough patches in the middle of the season where he seems to not be on the same page with his receivers would have even happened. You also see he's got a lot of chemistry with Keelan Marion, who's again someone that's been relatively healthy. And yeah, it's hard. You come in there again. I think we kind of blew. We talked about this quite a bit in the show, but you didn't get to practice. So, that time that he could have developed that rapport with his receivers never happened. He's been having to do it during the year. And when players start going in and getting injured, I mean, that you just have to start over again almost in the middle of the season. That's not easy to do. But yeah, he's hitting his stride, and this offense is as well. And to your point, Blue, obviously I was there. It was packed at noon on a Saturday for a 3-win Virginia Tech team, and they were juiced up at the beginning, and then Miami went down, stuck in the end zone immediately, and that was kind of that. It was they took the air out of Virginia Tech pretty quickly with that. A couple other things I wanted to get your take on, DJU as well on these things. So, Blue, the penalties came back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Against Virginia Tech, a lot of stupid pre-snap, post-snap, after the play stuff. How do they? So, and I want to get both of your opinions on this. We'll start with you, DJ, since Blue just talked about the odds. But how do you think they approach splitting that? Because you want the intensity there, you want them to be fired up, but there's that line that they occasionally drift across where it gets them in trouble, and they get how do you split that difference, DJ? I know you've also worked and coached, and so get your take on how do you balance that? All right, I want you fired up. I want you right on that edge, but I gotta keep you on this side of the line because when you cross over, it's Miami. They're flagging you 100% of the time.
Well, you kind of take a look at the game and you say, okay, I want you to play fired up, but I want you to run through a guy after you catch a pass. Don't spend your energy drawing with the guy, after the whistle. Use that energy to truck a guy when you're catching a pass up the seam. Use that energy to try to fire up your teammates. Redirect that energy into something positive that doesn't involve extracurricular stuff. And again, it's easier said than done. Your adrenaline's going a million miles an hour and you're a competitor. But I mean, on the coaching staff that I was a part of and on the program that I was part of, they would always say, don't worry about the extracurricular stuff. Let them, take part in it and get penalties for us. Just worry about your game, channel that energy into something positive on the field, channel that energy into, controlled aggressiveness on the field and, try to keep your nose and don't stoop to their level.
Yeah, Blue, what are your thoughts there as well? So they didn't have that. I think there might have been one false start or one on. They didn't have the pre-snap, even though it was loud. So they had that under control. But the discipline, I mean, right from the opening kickoff, there's no reason to drag the dude back 5 yards and then toss him down. Blue,
that's true. I will tell you this: the officiating for both sides was bad.
That's
bad.
something that we mentioned too, yeah.
Yeah, we did a whole segment on that on the Sunday show.
I'm just saying,
the standard of officiating in this conference. I mean, I've never seen anything like what happened in that game, though, because they got to a point where there were multiple plays where they didn't even make a call, and he's just got his hand on his ear, basically asking Charlotte to tell him what to do.
For both teams.
I've never seen it. Yeah, I've never seen it. He completely just lost control of the game. Those refs should never ref another game. If you can't apply the rules, part of being a ref is being decisive. Even the inadvertent whistle call, which is the big one that screwed Virginia Tech, it wasn't an inadvertent whistle. He called him down. He blew the call because he wasn't down. But he called him down. He's waving his arms. He's signaling him down. Actually, I looked back at the replay, DJ, because I hadn't had a chance to before we did the show Sunday morning. Half the Miami team did stop. That's why he got to the first down. But to never say like, oh, he inadvertent means like, oh, because they have their whistle in their mouth, they accidentally blow it, which very rarely happens. That's an inadvertent. He called it down, and then they realized they blew the call, and then they're like, oh, let's just say it's inadvertent and do a do-over. The standard of officiating in this conference is just unacceptable, and frankly, it's one of the reasons we're talking about playoffs and conference scenarios and all that. One of the reasons it's where it is, because the way they ref the end of the SMU game was just appalling. But that just isn't an excuse. There was a lot of after the play stuff. Like I said, a personal foul on the first time the Canes kicked off. One time they're setting up for what should have been a chip shot field goal, and for whatever reason kept pushing and shoving Virginia Tech for probably 20 seconds until they finally threw a flag on them. And fortunately, Carter Davis made the 48-yard field goal that should have been a chip shot. These things add up, and at times have cost the Canes games this year. How do they clean? I mean, it's one game left in the regular season, but where is that line between playing with fire and edge and wanting to dominate your opponent and then also not being able to control your emotions and getting stupid penalties?
There's a lot of times where you get away with things or you do things that no big deal type of things, but then other times they're called, and it's sort of like being a pitcher. You got to know where the strike zone is. I mean, if this guy's calling low balls all day, you know what I'm saying? And you see a lot of that, Vish, where these guys get away with stuff, but then they do it with another crew and they don't get away with it. And, you can't take the passion out of the game, because if you continue to do that, then you change the way that people, they practice. Believe me, at practice, they don't. I just think sometimes that the referees should be going to more, instead of using local yokels for a lot of the scrimmages, bring in ACC refs and let them work during the spring. Let them work a lot of these scrimmages. Pay them. You're paying the other guys, so you pay them. There's a lot of ACC refs that live in South Florida. There's a lot of refs that live in South Florida. I know a lot of. I know like 8 or 10 of them, 12 of them that work SEC games, work Big Ten games, and that's what I'm saying. And I know they try and they do a lot of things, but wow, it's just I'm not a big make excuse type guy. But when it's happening for both sides, then you have a valid point, because. Then, if you're saying Miami, oh, they're getting screwed, that's fan stuff. But if it's happening on both sides of the ball, then it's really happening, and that's.
Well, I mean, it has been. So in this game, again, there was an egregious missed call that hurt Virginia Tech, but all of the other ones went one direction. That SMU game went entirely one direction, including them first play of the second half overturning what was clearly a fumble. I mean, right now Miami's in a predicament playoff and conference-wise because of those series. And picking up a pass interference call when he hogtied the receiver and you threw the flag. I think Miami has a right to be aggrieved. And again, there's data. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they have the biggest penalty gulf in P4, and that is the penalties that they call an opponent relative to their other opponents. Just as an example, SMU averages like 11 penalties a game. They had 4 against Miami. They all of a sudden played clean, and that's been a pattern. So there is some there, but I think, look, it's like I keep saying, there's one game left. They just got to be a little smarter about it. They're going to call it on Miami. They're not going to let you get away with the extra shove that they might let the opponent get away with. And it's not fair, but it is the way that you're going to be refed. And you just got to keep your head. You cannot afford those penalties this week. Pitt's a very good football team, and it's on the road, and you cannot give away those yardage like they did. Give away a lot of yardage against Virginia Tech on penalties that were unnecessary. Some penalties are necessary. Sometimes, like, the offensive line has to hold because the quarterback's going to get lit up. Sometimes the defensive back gets beat. He's got to, just take the penalty. After the play, shoving people, late pushing, and all that, you don't need to do that. There's never a reason you need to do that, and that's what they got to clean up.
I've always said I'll take a holding penalty any day of the week. especially when it comes to the offensive line. I mean, in order to protect your quarterback, I'd take a holding penalty any day of the week. But like you said,
as long as it's not behind the play.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those I won't take. But
but also to Blue, the point you're making earlier about the offense being a little bit more dynamic, and they were able to overcome a lot of those yardage. Or early in the year, 5-yard penalty means punt. You'll notice it was 2nd and 12, I believe, and Lofton caught that touchdown because the Canes false started and didn't kill the drive. They threw a touchdown the next play. So need more of that as well. Last thing on Virginia Tech, and then we're going to move on. Obviously, I do see the comments. We will talk about Joey Galloway being a clown, as well as shout out to Muhammad for the dono. We will talk about this because this is, we're very hyper-focused on how do the Canes get to Charlotte, how do they kind of make up a couple of more spots and get in the playoffs. This is a hell of an accomplishment. And if they can go and win that game, back-to-back 10-win seasons with very minimal margin of loss, 2 in the 4 losses. We're talking about, 4 points, 5 points, overtime, and 3 points. No one in the country has played that many close losses, is that close to being undefeated in the last couple of years. So it is quite monumental. We'll talk about that a little bit. But last thing, so after the Syracuse game, I was a little bit worried about the run defense. They were brilliant against NC State, held the former ACC leading rusher to negative yardage. This game, the run defense came apart again. Blue, are you concerned about this heading to Pitt and their ability to stop the run?
Well, you have a quarterback last week who really does the damage. I mean, you're 6'3", 240 pounds or whatever he is, 230. He's a difference. He's been difference maker both years. He's kind of killed Miami. I think that from Pittsburgh's standpoint, they got 2 running backs that can run the ball. The freshman quarterback isn't fleet-footed. But it always concerns you. And the thing, too, is we were talking one last thing on the referees. I would hope that the ACC is going to put the number 1 crew on this game, because this is definitely the game that means the most, really, when you think about it, because both teams are still in the hunt for a lot of things. And that's why, I mean, I know Wake Forest and Duke is a big game for Duke and all that, but this is a game that, and especially noon, I think they did this strategically, because whatever happens out of this game, the later games will be warranted to watch too. So yeah. I think that was a kind of a strategic thing. Plus, there was no other place to put them on that Saturday, because you got Alabama, because they had to move Alabama-Auburn to 7:00 because not to interfere with 7:30 games or. Yeah, so this is one of those, and thank God for Friday where they have 17 games or 16 games and a lot, and they have that 12, 3:30, 7:30 slot on Friday too. So not that I'll be able to watch much of it in a later day, but
well, we're going to talk about that too to close the show out, and it's a busy weekend in Southport. All right, let's just get into it, because I know that's what everyone's itching to hear about. We got the Joey Galloway comment here. I won't read that out in its full, because a little bit of profanity there. But all right. So where the Canes currently sit, they're ranked 12th in the college football playoff rankings, 3 spots behind a Notre Dame team they beat, and. Yep, they are now in the same grouping because they do it in pairs of 4. So last week we were told once they're in the same grouping that head-to-head will matter. This week it doesn't matter. I guess, what are your overall thoughts? We're going to talk a little bit too about both the ACC and the at-large chances for the Canes. I do have that open, and I did actually write something else. I'll drop the link in the chat if you want to review details. But Blue, what are your thoughts on the Canes still being 12th and still being behind a Notre Dame team they beat? And kind of, I think what's being lost is, walking out of that stadium, there was no question the better team won. There was no question. And, the criticism of Miami at the game, you should have won by more. And now this has turned into, well, the better team lost. And, what kind of revisionist history crap is that? I mean, this feels like a very, very unfair. But Blue, what are your thoughts on kind of where the Canes are currently situated?
Well, first of all, it's hard to watch the games anymore. So what I'm going to do probably this Saturday is turn off TV and watch the video, but listen to QAM because, and DJ, you watched it. All you kept hearing is, oh, they got to do this. They got to score more. They got to do this. They got to, and you know what? It takes really a lot away from the game, itself. So it's hard to watch the game when all you hear is, oh, well, they didn't convert the first down. That may hurt them in the rankings. And then I don't want to hear that. Play the goddamn game. You know what? And I just think, Vish, that whatever's going to happen is they just got to win this Saturday. I mean, that's all. I mean, whatever happens after that, what can I, it's out of our hands and I could have an opinion, but there's a billion different opinions of, if everybody's tied. And, I personally think, like what we said last week, is why the hell why would you play a team like Notre Dame if you beat them and it's not going to count, towards anything? Really, it's a wash.
It's even worse than that, just because of the way the schedule laid out. So in addition to obviously they played each other, it's not like Notre Dame went and played 10 ranked teams. And it's like, okay, we get it. No, they lost to the only other highly ranked team. They played A&M. They're playing 4 of the same teams Miami did in the ACC. 4. Yeah. Miami doesn't have that many components with any team in the ACC. They're more directly comparable to Miami than SMU and these teams in the rankings that Miami in the standings that Miami is being compared with. They have 0 common opponents. That's why, they get out a Ouija board, they go like this and go the tiebreaker because they don't actually play the same teams in the conference too big. They actually played the same teams as Notre Dame. They also played last place teams in the ACC, Big Ten, and SEC that have combined not won a single conference game. Like, this is what it took to wipe out the head-to-head? Really? They didn't have to beat anyone? That's insane. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Yeah. Like, as much as, like, as bad as, like, getting, like, ignoring the head-to-head is, the fact that they didn't have to do anything to achieve that is why it's so egregious. It's not like they went and then, okay, they lost 2 games, but then they started beating, like, these great teams, and, like, there's a bunch of teams that have 1 or 2 losses, and they got that against Notre Dame. No. They beat Boston College 1-10. Notre Dame's 1 of the 10. Like, why is that enough to ignore head-to-head? That's what makes it so egregious, is that their resume, you put their schedules up, they're almost mirror images. They're like, Miami didn't play anyone like A&M, but they also didn't play anyone as bad as Boston College or Purdue, Arkansas. Those teams are terrible. So I just, to me, it's a farce. They messed up when they started Miami at 18. They made a mistake, and rather than admit to it, they're just going to keep doubling down and tripling down and say, look how much they moved up. It doesn't even make sense. First of all, you're supposed to re-rank the whole field every week, so they shouldn't be any moving up. You're supposed to take a holistic view of that. Yeah, you're not supposed to just be like, oh, they won, let me move them up. They're actually, right then and there, they're not following their rules. But the whole thing is ridiculous.
Well, here's something more ridiculous. I was watching back, and after what was the Florida game? Week 5?
4, I think. Right?
4, yeah.
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have all these people from Joel Klatt all the way say right now Miami's the best team in the country. It's not close. So how'd you go from Miami's the best team in the country, it's not close, to wondering where they're going to be a playoff team or not? And like you said, with the same thing that Notre Dame's run through and their 2 losses, and it's funny. And who was it? Somebody said, okay, we're making a difference on what Miami does, but let's not make a difference on a crappy ass South Carolina team that had a 30-point lead on Texas A&M. Let's not talk about that. Or South Carolina had a 16-point lead on Alabama. That's what I'm saying. If that happened to Miami, where a crappy ass team, let's say like, I don't know, any of the NC State had a 28-point team lead on Miami. Miami came back and won. You know how much you'd hear about? That's all you'd hear. So Miami's held to a little bit of a different standard, and that's what's frustrating from my standpoint.
Yeah, and it's beyond that, Blue, because it's not just held to a different standard. Why is Miami being asked to reprove they're better than Notre Dame? Notre Dame should have to prove why the head-to-head shouldn't matter. Yeah. And they can't. And instead, they're like, well, Miami, to your point, Miami needs to get this. They need to do that for style point. Why do they have to do anything? Why is Notre Dame not the one that has to do all this stuff? Notre Dame lost the game. Why do they get the benefit of the loss? It doesn't make any sense. As much as they're going to go in there and, well, then why did Miami lose at home to Louisville? First of all, Louisville was not injured like they are now. Like, they're out of players. They don't have their quarterback. They don't have their best players. Their running back. He hasn't played since that game. That it's not an accident that they went from winning basically every week to now losing basically every week. But even putting that to one side, if Louisville's so bad, how come Notre Dame couldn't win in Miami? If they're so good, why couldn't they win that game?
And plus, it was Miami's worst game. Threw 4 picks, didn't convert on a couple of them, and you're still in the game to the last drive. So that's what I'm saying. Miami was never out of one game this year, ever, all the way down to the last, like, overtime against SMU. So that's my point, that Miami, it's not like Miami just took a vacation one week and got beat by 35, because they didn't. And as bad as they played, Notre Dame throws 4 picks against Louisville, they'll get beat 35-14. I don't care what anybody says. And that's my point. Miami still had enough talent to be in that damn game all the way because their defense was coming, after they throw a pick. And that's a frustrating part to me, because you have to listen to that every week. And now, like, coming into this game, I'm not even reading the crap, because that's okay.
No, it's nonsense. It's nonsense to this. What he's talking about here. So Joey Galloway immediately, of course, ESPN puts the headline up: Miami survived scare. What game was that at? It wasn't the one I was at. I was in Blacksburg. I don't know if there was another game going on at the same time that I couldn't watch, but they were up 3 scores the entire game, and then Virginia Tech cut to 2 scores. Recovered onside kick, turned it over, and Miami scored again. Like, I don't understand. The win probability that they track on ESPN never dropped below 95%. The framing of that, and then this clown saying, well, technically they basically won by 10 points because they scored at the end of the game. What are we doing? There's an agenda there, and they're being held to. They're not even just being held to a higher standard, Blue. They're being held to a standard that's fabricated and keeps moving around. Because what we were told after they got to show more consistency on offense. Carson Beck has been outstanding since that game, but it doesn't matter. Now it's something else. It's always something else. Last week we were told they get in the same group against Notre Dame, the head-to-head's going to matter. Now it doesn't. It's always something else. And they have concluded that Notre Dame is better than Miami, despite Miami winning the game on the field, just based on gut. Because they played the same caliber of schedule. They played the same teams. Notre Dame has beat no one. Their best win is USC, who has 3 losses. They've done nothing to earn that spot, and they're in right now. If they go and beat Stanford, which they should do because Stanford stinks, we saw that, they're going to be in. And Miami, meanwhile, they got to do this, got to do a backflip over that guy. And it's like, how did that happen? That Notre Dame is coming. Maybe both these teams should be out. I don't know. But Notre Dame should not be ahead of Miami. And if Louisville is so bad and Miami's so bad for losing to Louisville, then how come Louisville did what Notre Dame couldn't? If Notre Dame is so good, they would have beat Miami. They did not, because they're not. And if they played again, you know what? Miami beat the crap out of them again, because they're more physical and they're stronger. And Miami's actually been tested in the back half of the season. Notre Dame hasn't, other than Pitt, I guess, although Pitt's coach coming out before the game saying, like, we're not going to try. It's not exactly, but still, that's not Notre Dame's fault. That's Pitt's fault. But that is really in the back half of the season, the only game that they played. And so, yeah, we'll they're definitely going to be in the playoffs, and Miami probably won't be. And it's a farce, and it's not fair. And it is just that's the reality of it, that the results on the field don't matter at all because they just decided the team that lost was better. And by the way, if you just as an example, if you were to watch Oklahoma and Alabama and watch that game, Alabama blew that game. they were clearly, I think they outgained Oklahoma by 300 yards. They're clearly better. If they played again, all the logic you're using to keep Notre Dame ahead of Miami, if they played again, Notre Dame would be favored. Alabama would be favored by 2 touchdowns based on that first game. Could you imagine if they moved Alabama in front of Oklahoma?
Oh, shit.
People would lose their minds. Like, how could you ignore on the field? This is the only time they're doing that. In fact, they're trying to somehow plant this Michigan crap. Like, if they beat Ohio State, they should be in. And with a straight face on that show, they said, yeah, but you can't put Michigan ahead of Oklahoma. Why not? Elaborate on why Michigan can't be in front of Oklahoma. Oh, because Oklahoma beat Michigan? Is that why? Like, as just a standard practice, we don't do exactly what they're doing with Notre Dame. It's the only time they're doing it. And the more they defend it, the dumber it is. The whole thing is messed up. In fact, taking a step forward, BYU should be ahead of Texas Tech. They have the same record. Yeah. Texas Tech beat them, but BYU has a better loss. Texas Tech that's the logic they're using. It's so stupid. BYU's loss is better than Texas Tech's. They lost to Texas Tech. That's a really good team. They should be higher. It's dumb, but that is the logic they're using. And when you start peeling the onion back and you take it out of this Miami Notre Dame bubble and start applying what they're doing to other scenarios, because they exist all the way up and down the top 25, this is the only time they've chose to go this route. It looks increasingly stupid. And that's what it is, and that's why they look like idiots. That's why they try to explain it. They look dumber and dumber because you're going to always land right back on, well, they played in Miami. And you can't get around that. You can't logic your way out of it. You can't statistic your way out of that ending up where it is. But anyway, so Miami, just for clarity, they're 12th now, and obviously 12 teams make the playoffs, but that is not good enough. At the very least, an ACC conference champion will move in front of them, as well as the G5 champion, whichever team that is. So 2 teams will move in. And so Miami needs to get up to at least 10th, maybe 9th. If there's an upset in the Big 12 championship game, it's possible 2 Big 12 teams go. So 9th or 10th, which means they need a lot of upsets over this weekend. Likely, Alabama losing to Auburn, Oklahoma losing to LSU, that type of thing to get back into it. So not a lot of chance there. Now there is still an opportunity to
get in the ACC title game.
Yeah, and I am going to bring this up.
Well, Virginia Tech's got to be Virginia for sure.
Well, this is it.
Jesus Christ!
This is
my eyes that bad.
I'm gonna zoom in a second.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, so let me see if I can get a little zoom in here just to all right, so essentially these are saying the same thing. This is kind of the text form, but I like the chart view. But anyway, these are the scenarios. So essentially, who
does oh yeah. The first one.
Okay, so essentially the first one's pretty obvious. Miami has to win. So it's better if Duke, SMU, and Virginia lose. They need 2 out of 3. And then these NC State and Syracuse games matter because once you get into those multi-team tiebreakers, again, because you don't play the same teams, common opponents are lacking. It does turn into who played the tougher schedule. So that's why it matters when NC State and Syracuse play, because their opponents are UNC and Boston College, respectively. Miami didn't play either of those teams. The teams they're in tiebreakers with did. So that's a 2-game swing, and that will. So yes, Boston College and Syracuse kick off at 3 p.m. could decide the ACC champion in a tiebreaker. Some system, we have 2 worst teams in the conference. Could decide the tiebreaker. But anyway, so here's how the day is going to unfold. essentially. But yeah, Miami needs a lot of help. But it does lay out, as you said, they put the schedule together in a manner in which it does lay out pretty interestingly. So Miami Pitt's obviously at noon. That's the first game. Miami doesn't win. Might as well just smoke them if you got them and turn the TV off and go cry. If they win that though, these two games are kind of the next window. So you want Syracuse to win, you want Wake Forest to win. Syracuse, if you go back to like the chart here, they're not that important, but there are a couple of scenarios where they help or keep you out of one of these. I looked into this. So there is a scenario where everything is tied and it goes to this. This is a thing that exists. I looked it up. It's a pay service that some conferences use to rank teams. The data is not publicly available, so we have no idea what this looks like. We'll only know if they use it. I'm assuming it'll be good for Miami because they're better overall record. Numbers are good. It doesn't just do ACC rankings. It does everything. So like beating Notre Dame and all that counts. So I'm assuming Miami would win these things, but
you never know, though.
You don't know. We don't know what that is. So trying to avoid that. But anyway, Syracuse winning will. See, there's a couple of rows where it does make a difference. But this is a big one now because definitely there is no scenario where the Canes don't make it if two of Duke, Virginia, and SMU don't lose. So Duke, Wake Forest, and this is, Wake Forest is a better team than Duke.
They are.
But so this is definitely one.
Have better wins, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they have a better overall record by 2 games. So this is Duke is the product of playing a very easy ACC schedule and winning those games. But that is, that's at 3:30. The Canes are not eliminated. Even if these 2 games go bad, the Canes are still not eliminated. And then we get the night pack of 3 games. Virginia Tech, North Carolina State again. North Carolina State winning does help with a lot of the tiebreakers. And then SMU Cal to close it out. Now, there is actually a scenario where SMU winning helps the Canes if everyone loses. This scenario here, Duke, Virginia, NC State, and Syracuse lose. The Canes actually make it if SMU wins. But if SMU also loses, then it turns into that, again, using that analysis ranking thing to do it. So very convoluted. Long and short of it is, in that second window, you're going for Wake Forest and Syracuse. In that third window, you're going for Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, and SMU. Some of them can win. In fact, there is a scenario where both Duke and SMU win, and the Canes still make it if NC State wins because they could come out of that 3-team tiebreaker ahead of Duke, which is what this is. So you will get to even if Duke and Boston College win at 3:30, the Canes will still be alive going into that last. So it's going to be a long night. And yeah, we'll see where it plays out. But again, you're cheering against SMU, Duke, and Virginia. You're cheering for NC State and Syracuse. And NC State and Syracuse should be favored.
Wow, that's a horror.
Well, I mean, Syracuse is playing Boston College.
No, I know.
So that's a horrible game that actually has not just ACC championship game, but playoff implications.
With a midfield lacrosse player at quarterback. So
just run the ball, please. Brent Brown, do something functional for once. And then now I will say this is an interesting scenario, one that could simplify things. If Syracuse and NC State win, and Duke actually, if NC State wins and not NC State, sorry, if Syracuse and Wake Forest win, and which again, that's I think Wake Forest. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility because Wake is again better than Duke. If those two happen, Syracuse and Wake Forest win, all Miami needs is Virginia Tech to beat Virginia in their end. They don't even have to wait for the other game. So, it's not outside the realm of possibilities. There are possibilities where both Duke and SMU win, they still get in, but really you're looking at probably needing 2 out of the 3. So we will see as the day unfolds. A lot of these scenarios will go away depending on who won, and then we could potentially be sitting there at around 11 p.m. watching the end of this game, knowing that the result matters. So we will we'll see. But yeah, a lot to play for. But it's not over. These are not good odds. And especially like I pulled up. Obviously, this is centered around the Canes, so those are what I put up on the screen here. You know, everyone else's list looks like win and one team loses or win and ends. It's not this fast. So definitely not the well, it's not, they're not favored to make it in, but it's not implausible. It's not outside the realm of possibilities that, you know, that Wake Forest beats Duke, and that Syracuse beats Boston College, or that NC State beats UNC. Actually the hardest ones are these. Is you do need one of SMU or Virginia. They both win, you're right. There are scenarios where SMU and Duke win where you still make it. That's this one. There is no scenario where Virginia and SMU win because they have a better record than Miami. So one of those two teams need to lose, and neither of them are playing a good team. So this is the landmine. It's these two. You got to hope the rivalry game, something happens here, and you just got to hope something with the time change. We're clutching at straws. But those two things, those are the only two that one of those two has to hit for the Canes to get through. Everything else is actually fungible, but if those two don't hit, one of those two don't hit, the Canes are done. So anyway, we'll see. But again, it won't be over until these games are played. So there's a lot to play for. Hopefully Virginia Tech, tries to ruin their rival season. That would be nice. All right, so we will pivot. I am texting with Jazz. He is trying to join. Didn't realize we started at 8, and then said he can join with audio without video, or should he show up in 20 minutes? He's in a place with lighting, and I'm like, on in 20 minutes. But anyway, let's see if we get a last minute appearance. Maybe get his pick in here. But all right, so before we get to the pick, we got to talk about Pitt. So they obviously. We kind of talked about it. It was not a joke. Pat Narduzzi basically came out for the Notre Dame game and said, we're not going to try. It doesn't matter. I don't care if we lose by 100. And they fulfilled his wish. Now, they did try against Georgia Tech. They're coming off a big road win. And we'll answer this question at the end, maybe if we have a minute. But right now, let's focus on Pitt. So they're coming off a big road win in Atlanta, kind of dominated Georgia Tech, actually. DJ Stardy, what are your thoughts on the Pitt Panthers?
Whoops, sorry, I didn't have my sound on. Pitt is a very skilled team in the sense that they have a bunch of playmakers, and yet they also possess this grittiness to them. They're a very sound football team. Narduzzi is a very good coach. Has been there for several years now, and this was a team that blew the doors off NC State back in October, took care of business against Stanford, and this is an offense that they do have a running game, but they like to throw the football, and so for this game in particular, I would focus on Miami's defensive line in the secondary, because I think if those two can get home and get to the quarterback, then I think they'll be in good shape. Now, I do want to kind of just also highlight some of the linebacker play, because they have very strong linebackers. I think when you look at this defense, they aren't exactly a shutdown defense. They did have some, games where they allowed ample points, but at the same time, they are aggressive, much like the entire identity of the team. So, in their last game, Turner rushed for 201 yards. So that could be something to watch for against a banged up Miami defensive line, and Henschel, who's been the main quarterback this season, passed for 226. So overall, I see a very balanced group here in Pitt. I don't think this is going to be an easy game for Miami by any means. I do think that Miami will win this game, and we'll get to predictions in a little bit, but I don't expect it to be a blowout or anything like that by any means. I like this Pitt team for their balance and the playmakers that they have, and especially coming off that Georgia Tech win, there's no reason that they're not going to come into this one with a little bit of confidence and try to play spoilers and on the last game of the year. So
Yeah, and they are one of those teams that, again, they only have the one ACC loss. If they win, they don't have tiebreakers with SMU and Virginia, so they need one of them to lose. But theirs is simple. It's not our eye chart we were just looking at.
yeah.
Blue, what are your thoughts on Pitt as I also bring our friend Jazz in here?
Yeah,
How's it going?
Mason Henschel's a freshman, and he's really done well. He took over.
Yeah.
He kind of beat out Eli Holstein for the job. They got Desmond Reed back, Miramar High School kid, a little soured. Miami never got him, but he didn't come really directly here. He was at Western Carolina first, and then he went over with Cade Bell when Cade Bell became the offensive coordinator. So he came over and had a brilliant year, one of the best all ACC last year, kick returner, real small, but he really elusive. Their offensive line's okay. I think Miami will have their way with them as far as some of the players. The Ryan Coretta kid is okay. He's done a tremendous job. Playing the guard spot. The only guy that probably returned from last year was Jeff Percy. He was a left tackle, and he's not pretty good. Offensively, they'll throw the ball a little bit. Kenny Johnson can catch. Katarius Hicks from Miami Central can catch as well. They have guys like Deuce Spann, another guy from this area. So they're loaded with Florida kids. From the offensive standpoint, I think Miami will pretty much have their way because first of all, Mason Henschel isn't really agile, so they're going to throw the pass rush. Miami gets Blake comes back to add a lot of depth to that. Him, Scott, and you got your two best defensive ends. So I think Miami will put constant pressure. A little worried about Miami stopping the run, as DJ said. The kid Turner, who's actually really a third team kid. And they have Goff right behind the Reed. So they have three guys that can run the ball. That's what they're going to do from the beginning. They don't want to go back in the pocket and sit there and stay there for Miami to sack them. Defensively, as you alluded to, really good linebacker play. I mean, probably the best in the ACC. Braylon Lovelace has had a monster year for them. Rasheem Biles as well. So I think from a linebacking standpoint, they do real well. I don't think they're real strong up front. Maybe the Sean Fitzsimmons kid may be their best, although Isaiah Neal's had a pretty good year. And they've gotten good stuff from Blaine Spires off the bench. I just think Miami's offensive line's got to come with it. Miami's got to run the ball. They'll get outside on them. I don't think their secondary's awesome. They're good. The Tannen Lynham kid, I think he was, when he first got there, they expect a lot of things out of him. Hasn't probably produced as much as they can. The McIntyre kid's really, really good in the secondary. I just think from a matchup standpoint, I think Miami's offense can move the ball. They don't have enough to really stop them. I think if they start putting the pressure on Beck and maybe sending some of them linebackers, Miami will kind of go to, maybe jet sweeps, or now that they have a playbook that we didn't see for the first 7 weeks, 6-7 weeks, they have a lot of tricks. And anytime you have Malachi Toney and obviously you're getting your top receiver back, one of your top receivers back, as well. And and now they know what everybody could do. Now, the only thing I'm worried about in this game is Pitt running the ball, because, Virginia Tech ran the ball. A couple of other teams were able to run the ball on Miami. And I think that Pitt, not so much with the quarterback, but the three backs that we mentioned, I think they have an opportunity to run the ball. I think that Miami has the talent. They just have to They have to execute, and but I think it's a good matchup for them, especially because I think that Miami offers more diversity in their offense than Pitt does. Because Henschel is not a mobile quarterback, but he's a very smart kid and a very accurate kid, and that's why he beat out Eli Holstein. And
Got a bright future, yeah, for sure. Got a very bright future,
no doubt.
Well,
There's the pickleball champion, Jazz Santana.
Yeah, Mr. Santana. Get in here, man. We're
What's
talking
up?
Pitt, and then also if you want to throw in there, if you think definitely give your thoughts on Pitt, and also if you want to comment on whether you think the weather it's going to be in the mid to low 30s. Miami got a little bit lucky with the noon game. It could have been much worse, but
you got lucky too, Vish.
Do you think? Yeah, I know I'm gonna freeze anyway, but do you think there's any effect to the weather? And then also just your thoughts on Pitt, how Miami will attack them, and
well, first things first. Malachi Tony for Heisman. All right, let's just throw that out there. There's no reason why that kid shouldn't be in the top 10.
No, he caught a touchdown against Notre Dame. That game does not count.
Oh, that's right.
So we got to wipe that out. Jordan Love's yards per carry also done.
The Jordan Love for Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, the Packers.
Anyways,
that Jeremiah loves.
But I digress.
Track that from his stats as well. So that game not counting, that helps the yards per carry.
Don't even get me started on that one. Look, I will say this. I'll kind of piggyback off of what Blue said in regards to the running game. The question for me is this. We've heard this kind of story before, right? Pitt's offensive line is not great. Louisville's offensive line wasn't great, and they played like each and every one of them were 5-star guys, right? And they did some things in the running game to us in that game also with like Brown and Kewan. I think Kewan Brown is the other kid. So and the same goes for this game. You gotta be. They're gonna be on their game, man. They're gonna be ready to go. They're gonna be hyped. This is for all intents and purposes. This is the ACC championship game, and I know they're kind of putting it as that, which is kind of cool. Which, if you think about it, man, this is it right here. This could determine a lot of things, and so that's my biggest concern. I think Heinz is a pretty damn good quarterback, and Desmond Reed is obviously electric. So you got to be able to stop them a little bit. But I think we've got the secondary and we've got the personnel to be able to do that. So not super concerned about that. More concerned about that running game if they're going to be able to hold up a little bit. And it's not necessarily that I think that I'm concerned about it because I still think that Miami does things well on defense that eventually they'll be able to scheme up some plays and make some adjustments, and I think they'll be all right. So the most important thing for me is it's the last game of the season. It's right now everything's riding on this game for Miami, right? You got to win in order to just stay there. You got to win convincingly so that there's no arguments on Tuesday when they when they go and they do the rankings once again, which God knows what the hell is going to happen then. So
I think the Kings are getting screwed. I mean, we know that they've tipped their hand. It's not going to be some magical rethink, but yeah, they got.
Yeah, right now the writing's on the wall. Yeah,
but they got to even make that argument. Yeah, don't do the committee a favor. Make them do it.
Right. I mean, we can talk about how screwed up the committee is ad nauseum.
Yeah, we already did, but
yeah. So I can only imagine. So my focus is the offense needs to control the football like they have been, control the clock, score. When they're in the red zone, score touchdowns. Get 7, not 3. And just limit the times that Desmond Reed can get the football. Limit the times that Pitt's offense is on the field. And when you get the football, score points. I think that Miami will be able to handle this game and win handily. But I think you'll see at the beginning some hype, right? You'll see Pitt come out firing, and you might see them, look really good the first couple of scripted drives. And Miami's going to be able to have to weather that storm and just punch back and punch harder. And once you do that, we've seen Miami be able to take control of the football game once they're able to do that. So I think that, if you do that, you kind of limit the punches, you kind of limit, those first couple of drives, those scripted plays that Pitt's going to try to run. If you can kind of limit how much, how well they do on those drives, I think Miami's got a good shot to run away with this one also.
Yep. So they are favored by 6.5. That is the line on this game as of right now.
You mentioned the weather. I'm sorry, Vish. The weather.
Yeah, go for it.
There's so many portal guys. There's so many different guys on this team that some have come from that cold weather. I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, we hit harder than they do, so the cold weather sucks to get hit. So if we hit harder than they do, I think we might be able to be okay there.
What's cold for you? Like 60 degrees?
Yeah, right. What's cold?
What's cold for you there, Jazz?
I'm not talking about me. I don't care. I'm sitting at home watching TV. I'm talking about the players that come from the Northeast or come from the Midwest that are transferred to Miami. I think they know what cold weather is.
Actually, very warm here right now.
I'm not too concerned. I'm not too concerned about the weather at all.
It was 55 today, so honestly.
Wow, balmy 55
Yeah.
for you on Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, so I don't know.
There's a little bit of a cold front coming through, at least for the Midwest. I've been monitoring the weather like, this is not going to be pleasant.
Yeah,
but anyway,
next week, so
yeah, no.
Got the 18 at Ann Arbor this week for kickoff.
Yeah. No, I mean, very, very happy the game is at noon.
Yep.
All things considered, that's as good as I can do for the weather. I'm going to be very cold. I haven't been back to Pittsburgh since 16 years.
DJ, they got high school football going on at Fenway this week.
Yeah, they do. They have a couple of.
I wish I was up there. My buddy's up there watching.
Yeah. They had like four high school games on Tuesday. They had a couple high school games on Saturday. So Fenway still gets good use even in the offseason.
Yeah, they do.
For the kids.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to take that in next year.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know.
Well, I feel like you're busy during high school playoff season down here, Blue, which we're gonna get to in a second. But first, let's do predictions. So the line is 6.5. DJ, you go first.
You know what? I'll go Miami 38, Pitt 24. Yeah, it's gonna be way more than 6.5.
Wow, there we go. DJ throwing the gauntlet down. What about you, Blue?
Miami wins 38-37 double overtime.
Whoa. I don't know if I could do that.
And there go the playoffs.
Blue, I have to sit there for like an extra hour. What are you doing to me?
Last week I had you thinking about how all the Blacksburgians are gonna remember last year's last play of the game.
Oh, when they called that inadvertent whistle, man, it came up. I'll tell you that. Jazz, what do you got?
Well, since 38 was taken by both of you, geez Louise, I'm gonna go. I guess I'll go 40 to 16, Miami.
All right.
You love that. You love those spreads.
Yeah, you love the high points.
I mean, you should all.
I mean, we have to, right?
You can buy points.
No, you don't have to.
No. I'm saying we have to score. We've got to score. We have to make it look flashy. We have to make it look like we kicked their ass.
I'll turn the damn TV off if they start talking about how many points they have to score.
As crappy as this sounds, our fate was decided in October against Louisville.
Lewis Reddick face. I'm tired.
I don't agree, man. I'm tired. The problem is, you know what the problem is, DJ? You're falling into the trap, man. You're starting to just.
No. I don't agree with them. The
them.
committee already made up their mind that once we lost.
No, they haven't. They haven't made up their mind yet.
Yes,
I refuse to believe that because now you're falling into that trap of just believing what is.
All right, Vish.
What everybody is saying. Yeah, I think so.
I don't want to hear.
Let it play out. Let it play out. Why do we just because of what they say? Let it play out. Go kick their ass, okay, and try to leave no doubt as much as you can. But believe me, if they do some shady stuff, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem. They're gonna. I mean, right now, they're in the same. If I'm not mistaken, they're either in the same bracket, right? Because one's 12,
They
one's
are.
9, or one's 11, one's
Yes.
9.
Yeah. No. They
Okay,
said they were directly compared to each other, and they ignored them.
so just let it play out. I'm not one to say that's it. It's over. We're too damn good. This football team can beat those teams that are in the top 10. So enough of that eye test crap. Go kick someone's ass on the field and let it play out. That's it.
So we'll be doing our
I don't think you're
off-season
saying
shows.
anything we don't. I
next
don't
week.
think you're saying anything we disagree
Yeah.
with. It's just the committee is not.
Yeah.
They decide Notre Dame is better with zero evidence, just on vibes, and they won't come off of that position.
Yeah.
And that's really what they're. That's why every week they come with a new reason. Last week was they need to be in the same pool. This week they're in the same pool. It doesn't matter anyway. There's a royal screw job that's going to happen, but to Jazz's point, if the Canes don't take care of business on Saturday, it doesn't matter. Then you're going to do not let them get away with this scot-free. Make them actually do the thing.
And let me be clear. When I said it was decided when they lost to Louisville, that's when the committee decided that, hey, we're going to make this hard for Miami. I don't agree with the fact that we lost to Louisville and it derailed our playoff hopes. That's not what I think should have happened at all. But I knew as soon as we lost both Louisville and SMU, they were going to make our lives a living hell in terms of getting into the playoffs.
Well, and by the way, now we have one of our losses is to a ranked team. So let's see what they do now. Right now, SMU's 21. Let's see if that does anything.
Yeah, but that's the case already, and they didn't care. They don't care. That's okay. They don't care. I mean, that's
yeah. They got this more on Yarachek doing 6-7 on ESPN. Like, I mean, damn idiots.
That
like it's just a joke. They're a joke.
No, they are a joke, and it's embarrassing. And there's no fact-based determination going on. But all the Canes can do is win the game on Saturday, which they will do. 31-10. I'm going with. I don't think Pitt's going to move the ball in this defense. I think Canes winning comfortably as well. I think Blues got it double overtime 1-point win. The rest of us have the Canes coasting.
I hope not.
Maybe you hope not. I'm gonna be sitting out there. I don't need an extra hour out in that weather, man.
Like I said, be happy it's noon.
I am very happy it's noon. Hopefully the sun's out. I didn't want to even feel that bad. All right, Blue. I know you gotta go soon, but first we want to check in on the high school ranks and hopefully get a little show and tell in.
Yes. First of all, the high school, everybody we're down to the region finals in all of the deals, and they moved the which was smart, Central Northwestern rematch to Saturday. It's a Saturday night game where it's going to be a standalone game, and very smart. It's they've already, I believe, sold it out. But you got a couple of good, Chaminade's up against True North, which is a pretty, good team coached by former University of Miami offensive lineman Greg LaFair. In 2A of Cardinal Gibbons and Miami's LaSalle undefeated. So far, not any recruits in any of the game. 3A, definitely Central. Northwestern always have recruits. Northwestern, for the moment, has Campbell. Keep hearing that he's going to decommit from Miami. Why? I don't know. I think he fits the defensive scheme pretty good of Heatherman because he's a hybrid. So I would hope I'll see him on Saturday. I'll have a talk with him. Really good kid. And I would hope that he would stick with his commitment to the Miami because he's really, really good. And 5A, you got St. Thomas Aquinas against MacArthur team that last year was 2 wins. This year they're 10. Pretty good job there, but St. Thomas is it's a shame we couldn't flip Fitzpatrick's brother because he's really good. It's gonna go into Georgia. 6A is really going to be good because you got West Broward against South Ridge, and South Ridge has a couple of kids that are really, really good as well. And in 7A, you got kind of a weird kind of game. Oh, Jazz blew off. You have Barbara Goldman, who's never been this far, ever. It's going up against Miami Palmetto. So, yeah, should be interesting. And the state championships will be in 2 weeks here in South Florida, guys. So it'll be pretty interesting. Vish, you should maybe get credentials to go to a couple of those games.
Well, I'm gonna be in Charlotte. What are we doing?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
but if
boy.
you didn't, you'll be at
100%.
Charlotte on
That
Saturday.
Rubik's Cube I put out there, we're gonna roll it. We're gonna get Yahtzee. That's
Try some of that
Oh,
Kool-Aid you're drinking and whatever else you have. That
but yeah,
It starts Wednesday, so you could go
Maybe I
Wednesday or
will.
Thursday.
maybe it will, especially if Palmetto is playing. I'll definitely go. It's my alma mater. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, and Palmetto, that's a 7A school, so they probably play Thursday night, which would be good for you.
yeah, I'll have to check that out.
You don't sound too optimistic, but that's okay. That's where you went, Palmetto, right?
Well, yeah. I'm trying to think of the. I went to Palmetto. I'm trying to think if I have to cover basketball. Definitely Wednesday. The women play Kentucky here, so I'm gonna be at
Okay,
that.
good.
Anyway, I do too much sports, but I can't casually watch something else.
I hear you.
I'm everywhere, man.
I got you.
Anyway, real quick before you do show and tell, I do think, regardless of there's rumors that Golish is going to Arkansas. Unrelated to that, I do think Shannon Dawson will be a candidate for Southpaw openings, and this is now 2 years in a row that he's run a really high level offense. He's shown he can develop completely different styles of quarterbacks now in back-to-back years and keep the offense moving forward. So I think he'll be a candidate. I think the caliber of job will determine whether he's here for another year, because he's now a high-profile offensive coordinator. So his level that he should be looking at is really P4. And so I don't know that USF would necessarily. I mean, that's borderline. It's a very good G5 school, so it's the top of G5. So maybe that's enough, but we'll see. But I do think he'll be candidates, and I don't know what he's thinking if he wants to stay. And again, the longer he stays, the more his resume builds, and the better caliber of job he can get. But sometimes you let that moment pass, and then you end up coordinator for life. So we'll see. But I expect him to be a candidate. All right, Blue, show us and tell us.
35 years ago, Miami and Pittsburgh played, guys. Here it is right here.
Oh, boy. Russell Maryland.
1990, Miami won it 45-0. And here's a little bit of similarity. The reason why Miami didn't win the national title is because they lost 2 games earlier in the year. Okay, that year, you could look it up there, Vish. I know how you do. But they finished probably as one of the best teams in the country that year, and they were loaded. I mean, Wesley Carroll and Craig Erickson, and this is a 1990 team. Russell Maryland, and loaded team. And like I said, but I know you look at those up. So you look up 1990 in Miami.
Yeah, that was the Cotton Bowl, the infamous Cotton Bowl penalties game. That was that year.
Yeah, but look, earlier in the year, they lost the 2 early games, and that hurt
they lost
them.
to BYU and Notre Dame. And
exactly.
Actually,
there's
they were
Notre Dame again popping up in the conversation.
And they did value head to head.
Yes, but I'm saying and Miami would down the stretch played as well as anybody. They were killing everyone.
Yeah, no, it's actually, although I don't think it actually mattered, because again, 2 losses, and that was the year Georgia Tech and Colorado split the national championship. Although Georgia Tech had a tie and Colorado had a loss and a tie, but yeah, no. By the end of the Cotton Bowl, the commentators, it's Jim Nance actually, so it's like a real commentator, was saying, Miami's the best team in the country, but they're not going to win the championship, and I think that's that's how it was back then. You'd actually have to win games in the field. Yeah. Now they get it on vibes and just.
So that was a good team. Yeah. I enjoyed, a lot. So I figured that was apropos program the show tonight.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, and we'll take the result too. I'll take a 45-0 right now. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, they crushed them, and but that I still remember looking back at that BYU game. I don't know if you guys watch Fox at all, but one of the analysts on Fox, Jason Chaffetz from Utah, he was the kicker for BYU at that time. So
I didn't know he kicked it.
Yeah, he kicked 2 field goals against Miami that year.
He was in Congress also. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there you go. So I just kind of was looking through that program about a year and a half ago, and I actually really sent him that picture, and he responded, and he goes, "My God," I was young, but yeah, that's I brought a lot of Burgess Owens things, and Burgess obviously is in Utah as well. And when Burgess played for Miami as well. So look at that. Go to Miami, become a Republican. That's the theme in the deal. But no, that's all. It's but I appreciate it. What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving tomorrow? Your family? I know Vish, your sister, cook.
Yeah, I usually do the cooking, but we're doing like a big family friends gathering. So I'm making, actually after this, I am making pies.
Oh,
So,
good for you. Look at and DJ, what you got going on?
I'm going to my aunt's house. All my cousins are going to be there. It's a good time to see everybody because we're all so busy. It's a good time to connect with everybody and get everybody under one roof. So it'll be a lot of fun.
For the 42nd year, I'll be at my hometown North Miami parade tomorrow morning, and go every year, rain or shine, and then I will just a little family food and my Rams aren't playing tomorrow after they whipped up Tampa Bay on Monday. So but there's a good 12:30 game. I think Packers and the Lions could be pretty good. Packers
good slate of games tomorrow.
Packers need to be played. Who's it now? Who do the Cowboys play now?
The Chiefs.
But I got to commend you for that win because that early win against Philadelphia, because it gave the Rams clear-cut number one team in the NFC. So,
I was like, where are we going with this?
All right, guys. I appreciate you.
Both of you and to all the listeners and viewers, have a very happy Thanksgiving. Go Canes on Saturday. Beat Pitt. DJ and I will have the Sunday morning show.
7-hour wrap up on Sunday morning.
Yeah, and then Monday we'll reconvene here for our normal time slot for Six Rings Canes, where we'll have more to say about that game, and probably hopefully we're talking about the Canes, like if they did enough to get in the playoffs, and not talking about
what should have been
a loss. Or actually, scratch that. Hopefully, we're previewing Charlotte. So
I love your
optimism. We don't know what we're going to be doing next week. But
and again, I'll have some of what you're having.
Yeah, read up on your Virginia. What kind of pie you making there? What kind of pies you making?
So there's a lot of people coming. So I'm going to make several different kinds. I'm making 12 pies actually. 4 pumpkin, 4 pecan, 2 dark chocolate pecan, and 2 milk chocolate pecan. So
look at you.
Wow.
You make your own crust, or you buy the crust?
I bought the crust this time. I usually make it. I didn't have time because you gotta you gotta make it, you gotta bake it, then you gotta let it set.
It's just
and
good.
I didn't have time to do it.
Good for you. Well, enjoy,
That's
guys.
awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you all. Go Canes on Saturday. Beat Pitt.
Beat Pitt.
The Six Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The Six Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The Six Rings Cane Show. You know.